My wife spoke her darkest secret in Japanese. She had no idea I understood every word. You ever think your relationship is solid, like unshakably good, until one random night flips your entire world inside out? Yeah, that was me. My name's Naomi, and for the longest time, I thought I was living in the kind of marriage people envied on Instagram. You know, matching coffee mugs, anniversary trips to Oregon, Sunday brunch selfies with hashtags like #myrock and #luckiestgirllive. I had no idea those same posts would look like a joke one day. Lucas, my husband, was the definition of dependable. Kind, patient, never raised his voice, never forgot an anniversary. The kind of man who always makes sure your gas tank's full and your coffee's the way you like it, even when you forget to thank him. We met in Tokyo 7 years ago when I was teaching English and he was on a short-term consulting gig. I liked that he was gentle. American guys always felt too loud, too quick to dominate a conversation, but Lucas had this quiet way of making you feel heard. I'm half Japanese. My mom's from Yokohama, my dad's from Oregon. Growing up, my house was kind of split between languages. Japanese was the emotional language, English was the practical one. So when I moved back to the States with Lucas, Japanese became this secret space for me, a place to vent, to rage, to cry, to say things I didn't want to sound real, because Lucas barely understood it. Or at least, that's what I thought. He used to look at me with this amused expression whenever I'd mutter under my breath in Japanese. He'd smile like it was endearing, like I was some mysterious, cute anime character he couldn't quite decode. I leaned into that, maybe a little too much. Our marriage was stable, but stability can start to feel like suffocation if you're not careful. It's embarrassing to admit, but I got bored. I started looking for sparks in all the wrong places. I'd pick fights with Lucas just to feel something, then go cry to my mom or my best friend, Aiko, in Japanese about how he doesn't get me. Sometimes I'd call Aiko just to complain about nothing, like how Lucas folded the laundry wrong, or how he never challenged me anymore. I didn't realize that I wasn't just venting. I was building distance, word by word. Lucas, though, he was still Lucas. Still the man who cooked me breakfast on Sundays. Still the man who rubbed my shoulders when I worked late on my designs. Still the man who told me he loved me before I fell asleep, even when I didn't say it back. And maybe that's what made me restless. His predictability, his kindness, the way he didn't need to fight to prove his love. I used to think that kind of peace meant we were unbreakable, but sometimes peace just means you've stopped being honest. Then came Tom, the new guy at work, loud, sarcastic, funny as hell, a designer with that messy, creative energy I hadn't felt around Lucas in years. He complimented my ideas, teased me about my color choices, told me my laugh was dangerous, and I laughed too much at that. I told myself it was harmless. It wasn't physical, just flirty texts, long lunches, late-night DMs about movies and work stress. But deep down, I knew it was something more, something I shouldn't be feeding. Still, I told myself I deserved it, that I was just getting attention, that it didn't mean anything. And every time guilt creeped in, I'd smother it by saying things in Japanese, things I thought Lucas would never ever understand. Like the night he asked why I'd been so quiet lately, and I whispered under my breath, "Anata wa tsumaranai, you're boring." He smiled and kissed my forehead, like I'd just said something sweet. It became my secret weapon, my language of honesty. But the funny thing about secrets, they rot, slowly, quietly, and you never realize how deep it goes until it bursts. That night came on a Wednesday. Rainy, cold, just one of those nights where you want to wrap yourself in a blanket and hide from the world. Lucas was upstairs, probably reading or fixing something, while I was in the kitchen on a video call with Aiko. I was venting again, half drunk on white wine, complaining about Lucas in rapid Japanese. I said things I shouldn't have, things that would burn everything if he ever heard them. I told her about Tom, about the flirting, about how alive it made me feel. I laughed when I said it like it was nothing. And then I said the line that would haunt me later. Tom makes me feel alive again. Lucas is kind but too easy to lie to. He'll never know. I remember Aiko gasping and scolding me, but I just laughed it off. I thought it was funny, cathartic. I had no idea that Lucas was sitting just outside the kitchen, in the dark, listening, understanding every single word. If I turned around just once, maybe I would have seen him, maybe I would have stopped, but I didn't. Because I believed my secret language would always protect me. I was wrong. And that was the night my perfect marriage began to die, one translation at a time. The morning after that call, something felt off. The kind of quiet that hums under your skin, like a storm's building, and you're the only one who can smell the rain. Lucas made breakfast, same as always. Eggs, toast, coffee with too much cream, but there was something in the way he moved, controlled, careful, like a man thinking too hard about how not to show he's thinking too hard. He asked if I slept well. I lied and said yes. He smiled, that same gentle, polite smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. I should have noticed right then. I should have felt it, the weight of what he knew, but I didn't. Because guilt has a way of dulling your instincts. For the next few days, everything looked normal, on the surface. We went to work, came home, watched Netflix, but the silence between us changed. It wasn't the comfortable quiet of two people who understand each other. It was thick, sharp, like glass in your throat. He'd say little things that made my chest tighten. Funny how people can lie to themselves to feel alive. he said one night while washing dishes, his back to me. I froze, my fork midair. It was such a random thing to say, or maybe it wasn't random at all. I laughed nervously. That's deep. Where'd that come from? He shrugged. Just something I heard once. But his tone, his eyes when he glanced at me, it was like he was testing me, pushing invisible buttons to see which one would make me break. The next day, I found his laptop open on the table. Normally, Lucas was careful about his stuff, not secretive, but private. This time, though, it was like he wanted me to look. On the screen was a document titled Nihongo Noto, Japanese Notes. My stomach dropped. I opened it. Page after page of phrases, grammar rules, vocabulary lists, notes about idioms, even small cultural nuances, like how tone can shift meaning. There were entire paragraphs written in fluent Japanese, perfect sentences. And then, one line, highlighted in yellow. Fuso wa, ai no hantai de wa nai, mukanshin ga soda. Lies aren't the opposite of love. Indifference is. That's when it hit me. He knew. He had understood everything I said that night. Every word, every secret, every cruel laugh. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking. My first instinct wasn't guilt, it was panic, because I didn't know how much he'd heard, or what he planned to do with it. Lucas wasn't the type to explode. He was the type to plan. Quietly. Precisely. That night, I watched him read on the couch. Calm, almost serene, like nothing had changed. But I couldn't stop staring at his face, wondering, was this peace, or was it the silence before he burned me down? He caught me looking, and smiled. What? He asked softly. Nothing, I muttered. He nodded and turned the page. I went to bed early that night, but sleep wouldn't come. My thoughts looped, over and over. Did he hear me mention Tom? Did he understand the tone? The laughter? Or just fragments? I decided I had to find out. The next morning, I texted him at work. Hey, wanna do dinner tonight? He replied almost instantly. Sure, Japanese food? My chest tightened. He never picked Japanese food. At the restaurant, everything felt rehearsed. He ordered perfectly, without asking for help, pronounced every dish flawlessly. The waiter even complimented his accent. I forced a laugh, but my throat went dry. How long have you been studying? I asked. He looked up, smiling. A wild guess I'm a fast learner. Why didn't you tell me? He shrugged. Didn't want to embarrass myself. You know how I hate being wrong about pronunciation. Then, after a pause, but I think I've picked up enough to understand context. That word, context, sliced through me like a blade. I laughed it off, pretended I didn't hear the threat buried in it, but when we got home, I noticed he'd changed his phone password. He never used to have one. Later that night, as I brushed my teeth, I caught him watching me in the mirror, not angry, not sad, just studying me, like he was looking at a puzzle he already solved, but wasn't ready to tell anyone. I snapped. What's your problem lately? He tilted his head. Nothing. Why? You've been weird, quiet, like you're hiding something. He smiled faintly. Funny. I was thinking the same about you. I froze. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. Then he leaned in, his breath warm against my ear, and whispered, in perfect Japanese, Uso wo tsuku no wa anata no tokui waza da ne. Lying is what you're best at, isn't it? I dropped my toothbrush. He walked out without another word. That's when the fear finally hit me. Not fear of being caught, fear of not knowing what he was going to do next. Because Lucas wasn't the man I thought he was anymore. He wasn't my calm, steady husband. He was a man who understood everything. And now he was done pretending he didn't. After that night, after he whispered those words in Japanese, the whole atmosphere in our house shifted. It was like living inside a glass box, both of us pretending everything was fine while quietly suffocating on the silence. Every sound, the clink of a coffee mug, the creak of a floorboard, the vibration of a phone, felt like it meant something. I tried to convince myself that maybe I'd misunderstood, maybe he'd memorized that one phrase from a TV show or something, but deep down I knew he'd been studying, listening, waiting. A week went by. He didn't bring it up. Not once. He was calm. Too calm. That scared me more than if he'd yelled, thrown something, or left. Lucas started acting like he was fine, like he'd accepted something. That was worse. Because I could feel it. He was building something in that silence. Planning something. At breakfast, he'd hum softly while scrolling on his phone. At night, he'd kiss me goodnight, but never touch me. His eyes lingered, not with love, but with calculation. I started checking his phone when he showered. Locked. Password changed again. His laptop, password protected. Even his notebook, where he used to doodle at work, gone from the table. He was hiding things, just like I was, and I hated that he was better at it than me. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I went into his office while he was at the gym and started searching through his drawers. At first, just receipts, pens, chargers, and then in the bottom drawer, I found a small black notebook. I opened it, and my stomach turned. Each page was filled with neat handwriting, Japanese sentences, my sentences, the things I'd said, exact phrases, translated, dated, labeled, March 4th. Tom makes me feel alive again. March 4th. Lucas is too easy to lie to. March 4th. Sometimes I wish he'd just give me a reason to leave. He'd written them all down. Every word, every secret I thought was buried in a language he couldn't understand. I felt my knees go weak. He'd been documenting everything, not just listening, archiving. And then I noticed the last entry, written in English this time. People always think the one who loves less has the power. They're wrong. The one who listens does. My heart pounded so loud I thought I might throw up. I put the notebook back and closed the drawer, my hands trembling. That night I couldn't look at him. He noticed. Of course he did. "You're quiet," he said, stirring his tea. "Just tired," I mumbled. He nodded, eyes steady on mine. "You've been doing a lot of talking lately. Maybe it's time to listen for once." The way he said it made my blood run cold. That same week, he started doing strange little things. Psychological things. Like moving objects slightly around the house. My perfume bottle 1 inch off. My phone left face down when I always left it face up. He'd ask innocent questions like, "Did you misplace this?" or "You're sure you didn't leave that open?" He was gaslighting me or maybe testing if I'd lose it. Either way, I could feel him pulling strings. I couldn't see. Then came the worst part. One afternoon, I was home early from work. He didn't expect me. I heard his voice in the office. Low, calm, deliberate. He was on the phone, speaking in Japanese. Fluent. Effortless. Perfect. He said my name, Naomi, followed by words that made my chest tighten. "Kanojo wa mada shiranai, demo sugu ni kizuku." She doesn't know yet, but she will soon. I froze outside the door. My breathing got shallow. I wanted to barge in, demand answers, but I couldn't move. Who was he talking to? Why did it sound so calm, so certain? He hung up, and I scrambled into the kitchen, pretending to unload groceries. When he walked in, his face was unreadable. He smiled, kissed my forehead, said he was glad I was home early. But I couldn't stop shaking. That night, I lay awake listening to his breathing beside me. Steady, peaceful, like nothing was wrong. But my mind wouldn't stop spinning. What was his endgame? Revenge? Divorce? Exposure? Or something darker? I started checking the locks twice before bed. I stopped talking to Tom. I even stopped calling Aiko, because I couldn't risk another confession, not when I didn't know who else might be listening. Every time I spoke, every time I breathed, I wondered, was he recording me again? Studying me? Writing me down? And worst of all, I couldn't tell if I wanted him to confront me, or if I was terrified he finally would. Because when someone stops yelling, when they start watching instead, that's when you should be afraid. And Lucas? He was watching everything. The thing about guilt is, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It eats through your days, your sleep, your sanity. And by the time I realized Lucas wasn't just angry anymore, he was calm, it was already too late. Everything about him had changed in small, terrifying ways. He used to leave for work at 8:15 sharp. Now, he'd leave at 8:10, then come back 5 minutes later, claiming he forgot his phone. He'd linger by the bedroom door when I was on calls. He'd stand a second too long behind me when I washed dishes, like he was studying every move. And the notebook. God, that notebook haunted me. I couldn't stop thinking about what he wrote. The one who listens has the power. He'd turned my own deceit into a game he was winning. Then, one Thursday night, he told me we should go away for the weekend. "Just us," he said softly. "No work, no phones, let's reset." It sounded sweet, rational, but the way he said reset made my skin crawl. He picked a cabin near Lake Redding, 2 hours away, middle of nowhere. No neighbors, no cell signal. Every instinct screamed, "Don't go," but if I refused, he'd know I was scared, so I smiled and said yes. The drive was silent, too silent. He didn't play music, didn't talk, just stared straight ahead, one hand on the wheel, the other tapping rhythmically on his thigh. Tap, tap, like a countdown. When we arrived, the place looked peaceful. Pine trees, soft breeze, wooden porch, but the quiet felt wrong, almost staged. That first night, we made dinner together. He opened wine, laughed a little, acted normal. And for a second, I almost believed we were okay, until I noticed the cameras. Tiny ones, hidden in plain sight, one on the bookshelf, another above the kitchen doorway. My heart stopped. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, and texted Tom. "Something's wrong. I think he knows. If I don't text by morning, call the police." But the message didn't send. No signal. When I walked back out, Lucas was standing by the window, glass of wine in hand. He turned and smiled. "No reception out here," he said. It wasn't a question. I laughed nervously. "Yeah, figures." Then he gestured toward the sofa. "Let's talk, Naomi. You've been distant." That word again, distant. It hit me like a threat. I sat down, clutching my wineglass so tight it nearly cracked. He leaned forward, eyes steady. "I've been thinking," he began, voice calm and deliberate. "Do you believe people can hide who they really are forever?" I swallowed. "I don't know." He smiled faintly. "I used to think so. but the truth always leaks out, doesn't it? I forced a shaky laugh. What's this about, Lucas? He tilted his head. You tell me, you've been having such interesting conversations lately in Japanese. My blood ran cold. I tried to keep my voice steady. You were listening? He leaned back, his expression unreadable. At first I didn't understand, but I wanted to, so I learned. There it was, the confession. The calm, terrifying honesty of a man who'd spent months pretending. He reached into his pocket and placed the black notebook on the table between us. I wrote down everything you said, he murmured. Every single word. You know what I realized? You're not just a liar, Naomi. You're an actor. You didn't even sound like yourself when you said you loved him. I couldn't breathe. Lucas. He raised a hand. Don't lie again. You've lied enough. Then he stood, walked to the fireplace, and dropped the notebook into the flames. I thought about revenge, he said, watching it burn. About exposing you. About making you feel as small as you made me. But then I realized, he turned to look at me, eyes cold. There's nothing I could do to you that you haven't already done to yourself. I stared at him, trembling. What are you saying? He smiled softly, almost tenderly. You've already destroyed everything. I'm just here to watch it fall. And then, he left. Just walked out into the freezing night, no jacket, no phone. I ran to the door, calling his name, but he was gone. That's when I noticed something on the table. A small USB drive, labeled with my name. My hands shook as I plugged it into my laptop. The screen flickered, and a folder appeared. Proof. Dozens of files. Recordings, photos, translations, even a video of me, drunk, laughing, confessing to Aiko that Tom wasn't just a mistake. And then a final file named The Goodbye. I clicked it, and Lucas's voice filled the room. Calm, measured. You taught me your language, Naomi. Now it's time you learn mine. Then, static. The lights flickered. And from outside, somewhere in the woods, I heard his voice, whispering my name. Soft, patient, terrifying. Naomi. I froze, my pulse hammered in my ears. He wasn't gone. He was waiting. The power went out that night. One moment, the cabin was dimly lit and eerily quiet, and the next, it was nothing but pitch black. I couldn't see my own hands, couldn't even hear my own heartbeat over the thunder of silence that filled the room. For a moment, I thought maybe it was just a fuse, but then I saw it, faint light flickering from the woods, a flashlight, swinging gently, like someone was pacing back and forth. I whispered, Lucas? No answer. The laptop screen was still glowing, the last frame frozen on his voice recorder, the words, you taught me your language, Naomi, now it's time you learn mine. Something about that line, it wasn't just metaphorical, it felt like a warning, a message. I took a step toward the door, trying to steady my breathing. The cold hit my face the second I opened it. I could smell pine, rain, and something else, smoke. Then, in the distance, I heard it again. His voice, calm, gentle, controlled. Do you understand me now? I turned, spinning in circles, trying to find where it came from. My flashlight shook in my hands. Every shadow looked like him. Every tree whispered my name. My phone had no signal. My car keys were gone. And when I ran to the garage, so was the car. That's when panic turned into something worse. Realization. He'd planned all this. For months. Maybe longer. Every tiny act of kindness. Every quiet glance. It wasn't forgiveness. It was strategy. He wanted me isolated. Trapped, forced to face myself in the dark. And then, the cabin speakers crackled to life. His voice echoed through them, everywhere, all at once. Naomi, he said in flawless Japanese, Watashi wa koko ni iru? I'm here. I screamed. I didn't even mean to, it just ripped out of me. Stop this, Lucas, please. But he didn't stop. His tone was calm, soft, steady. You once said you wished I'd do something awful so you could leave? I'm giving you your reason. Tears burned down my face. I ran to the kitchen, grabbed the knife from the counter, and backed myself against the wall. Then something thudded against the door. Once. Then silence. I waited for what felt like forever before slowly inching toward it. My breath fogged in the air, my fingers trembled as I turned the knob. Nothing, just empty woods. I turned back inside. And froze. The USB drive was gone. The laptop screen now showed a new file, one that hadn't been there before. Confession.mp4. I hesitated, but I clicked. And there I was, recorded from some hidden angle, sitting on the bed days earlier, crying, whispering to Aiko over the phone, in Japanese. I think Lucas is finally breaking. He's too weak for me. I wish I'd married someone stronger. Then, my own voice laughing. The video ended with his face appearing in the frame, holding the camera. You said you wanted someone stronger, he whispered. Now you'll see what that feels like. I stumbled back, gasping, dropping the knife. He'd been recording me this entire time. The walls were watching. The camera lights flickered faintly, like blinking eyes. Then his voice came again, no longer calm, sharper. I listened, Naomi, for years. Every secret, Every insult, every lie, you hid behind your words like armor. But language isn't protection anymore, it's punishment. I screamed at him, "You're insane." But even as I said it, part of me knew I'd created this version of him. I'd sharpened his edges with my betrayal. He'd finally become the man I claimed I wanted, strong, ruthless. And in that moment, I didn't know if I was terrified of him or of myself. Lightning flashed, and for half a second, I saw him through the window. Standing there, watching. Not angry, not violent, just waiting. Then he lifted something, his phone, and I realized he was filming me. He mouthed 2 words through the glass. "Your turn," and the screen went black.